Well, Vic, we gotta do something and fast. When we stop, grab some mines from the back. We'll leave a little surprise for Rommel. Damn it! We're too late! Hang on!
Folks, I asked you guys this. What will it take for all these companies to stop virtue signaling? Now, generally, what will it take? Netflix still doesn't learn their lessons after a massive boycott. Yes, there are some people who didn't boycott because you're talking about globally. Evidently, their stock has gone down. And here's another one. Wizards of the Coast, or in this case, Magic of the Gathering. Fans is now revolt against Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast has been one of the worst companies out there in terms of woke ideology. They, of course, have ruined Dungeons and Dragons. They've also ruined Magic the Gathering. A lot of people aren't quite as aware of that, but it's been a pattern, of course. Now, earlier this year, they did a thing where they're actually cutting funding to their gender ideology program, which is pretty funny. But they're feeling the pinch over there at Hasbro. If you don't know, things have not gone very well for the company over the last year.
I think the question is, when it comes to money, people will have, well, in this case, companies, they have no other choice. Which is more important, your virtue signaling or money? I mean, yes, in the case of, let's say, Microsoft, when they have trillions of dollars to burn, they don't care if they lose any money. I mean, look with Twitch, or in this case, Amazon and Twitch, how many money did they lose? Yet they continue to have Hassan Piker run his mouth and get no punishment.
All these products failing, with people tuning out of these sorts of things. And they've had some success with Magic because they've been doing these crossover sets like Final Fantasy. They're doing a Spider-Man one. They're even doing a Star Trek one, which I'm very tempted, but I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to give these people money. But they got savaged yesterday because they're doubling down on woke ideology again in the midst of all this. It's like they never learn, and we're going to go over exactly what happened.
Unbelievable. I may disagree on him, but hey, at least as a fan, you got to do what you got to do. Also, look, if you are a fan, you're not supposed to be saying, oh, if you don't like it, don't buy it, or perhaps in this case, you don't like it, you're not a fan, or don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product. That's not a good business deal. Okay, we're skipping a bit.
At lunch today or next week in the description below. Love to hear from you. But get on here if you're not. It's so important because I never know if I'm going to find you again, and I want you guys to, of course, stay in touch. This is the newsletter. Like I said, grab that. Get your free 3 books, and I appreciate you being here. So, yes, this is where Magic have passed. They got rid of this card, Invoke Prejudice. No longer allowed in Magic.
Huh?
And, of course,
seriously?
They added some crazy stuff like this trans non-binary representation. Alicia, who smiles at death, is specifically a card, adding a marquee transgender character to the game when the company decided to push mental illness on the game. Then there was this. When they did their Lord of the Rings set, there's Aragorn. You might notice he looks a little different than he did in Tolkien. I wonder why.
The reason I'm covering this, remember, it's about cards, and I don't know where my cards is, somewhere here. I don't know if my family threw it away. I have Yu-Gi-Oh cards, okay? And trust me, Yu-Gi-Oh cards were the best. And at least Yu-Gi-Oh, yes, some Yu-Gi-Oh cards were censored. Well, I think the Japanese one didn't get censored, but the English one did get censored for some reason. We all know that. I mean, take a look at this. Why? Why can't you just use the original Aragon?
We have this right here. Absolutely crazy that they went and did this. But this is the sort of nonsense that they've been doing, not just here, but in Wizards of the Coast all the way across the board. It's happening in Dungeons and Dragons with their Mexican orcs and even more. And they were canceling some of this, at least the funding towards it last year. But they still want you to support these types of things, is what it comes down to. They just posted this yesterday, that Wizards of the Coast is hosting a Twitch stream to support Trans Lifeline, a grassroots hotline and nonprofit organization offering direct support to trans people in crisis for the trans community by the trans
12
community.
Hours now?
Yes, they're
12 hours
continuing back on this. Tune in October 4th to play games with us and support a fantastic cause on Twitch on Magic the Gathering's official channel. And then support the cause by donating to our direct fundraising page. Want to learn more about Trans Lifeline? Visit their website. Here we are. And then see the Wizards of the Coast with their with their gay flag colors to add to this.
It's not working.
Yay, please clap on this.
Yep, it's not gonna work. Listen, to all my viewers, is this really helping every LGBTQ community? No, generally, I'm asking to all my viewers, is this really helping this whole virtue signaling? Wizards of the Coast or whatever, all they have to do is just make good products, okay? That's it. Virtue signaling must be thrown out the window or kept at home. Honestly, I never exactly played Magic of the Gathering. Yeah, Magic of the Gathering. So to people who have played Magic of the Gathering, is it very difficult to play? Let me know in the comments.
Savage. You go to ChatGPT and ask what Trans
Wow.
Lifeline is. It also faced serious
ChatGPT.
controversies. Its co-founders were removed in 2018 for misusing funds. Critics faulted for limited hours and capacity compared to traditional hotlines, and missteps in a poorly run hiring lottery in 2025 forced perceptions of disorganization. So not a very good organization at that. And when you get into this sorts of things, it's like, wait a minute, this is a mental health hotline for like a suicide crisis thing, which is not a bad thing. Those exist, and there's good ones out there. But like, why would you do it for trans people specifically rather than just like anybody who's going through that? And this is the type of thing they do. Everything has to be about the identity. It's never just about actually the cause or helping people or anything like that. They just want to virtue signal the identity is what it comes down to. Also this, no thanks. How about supporting your Christian Magic players who are needing encouragement after our churches have come under massive violence? My deck is equal to anyone else's deck. My cards matter just as much, you'd think, but of course never, right? Magic the Gathering was the very first time I felt accepted for the nerd I am and loved this game for more than 30 years till you made it clear I'm not welcome because I'm a straight white man. I will weep for the loss and see that you're unjust handling of Magic the Gathering.
He's out. This
you
one's
guys
out.
would make more money if you just made a card game about magic duels. Yes, right?
Yeah.
They can't help themselves, though.
Of course they cannot help. Before I say this, apologies if I have to get the video run longer because when I was reacting to Smash JT's video, okay, there was a lot of dead air. It's the reason why I let the video run longer because sometimes when you want to put your point across, it is quite difficult when there's a lot of dead air. I want to edit that dead air, but then again, that's the original creator I don't want to tamper with. I think Wizards of the Coast could have made more money if they just with what they do best by selling cards, not virtue signaling, okay?
Do something like this. Why can't you stay neutral? What I have will no longer purchase new products from you. So they're getting savage. People have had enough of this. They don't want to be lectured to. They don't want to be told that they have to clap for these like trans causes and trans organizations and things like that. If Magic and Wizards of the Coast have learned nothing over the last year, it's that this is done. This is the type of thing that actually destroys brands, that hurts all credibility.
Every common sense people, all they want is just one thing. Normalcy, okay? Look what's happening in the world right now. We have wars, violence, everything. All people want is a sense of normalcy, okay? Why do you think video games exist? Video games exist as an escapism, a sense of normalcy. All people want is normalcy, okay? Reason is because they look to the left, they look to the right. What's going on? Why there are chaos? So the best way, they just find someplace normal, hide away. That's what every common sense people need, a sense of normalcy.
It's just painful. It's annoying, and it's just in your face all the time. So when you stick this on your Twitch program, if you put this on your official Magic channel, you're going to get a bunch of pushback from this, and this is what they got.
Yeah.
So let's review some of the quote tweets at this point. I thought they were releasing a transgender secret lair for a second, but good on them for doing this. And I hear they are going through with something like that at some point. I thought this was a Trans Lifeline UB set, was very confused. Happy to see Wizards doing this. Trans people are getting on the quote tweets here, while the comments are getting flooded pretty badly. Pretty interesting on this. Awesome thing for they to do. So they do have a bunch. You notice there are a lot of unverified accounts doing so, which is pretty interesting right here. One of the main reasons that Magic the Gathering has lost a lot of its older player base by continuing political-driven outright BS like this. Besides the Universes Beyond announcements, this has not set me over the edge. I'm done with Magic now.
Okay, I think whoever this is, who is this? Lone Wanderer 138. Okay, let's see what he says. This is one of the many reasons why Magic the Gathering has lost a lot of its older player base by continuing political-driven, outright BS like this. Besides the Universe Beyond announcement, this has not set me over the edge. I'm done with Magic now. Shout out to this person, Lone Wanderer. Well, wander off.
Versus Beyond is really what's keeping Magic going. Magic and just tying into other products, like I said, Spider-Man, like I said, Final Fantasy, that's keeping it alive. In their CEO's calls, they've been talking about how those have been doing very, very well for them. They're amping up to do more in the future because people are sick of what they've done with their own Magic the Gathering setting, which is too bad because it was a pretty nice setting overall, especially the Ravnica setting back in the day and Lorewind settings. Those are wonderful ones that I wish they'd just like keep with their own lore rather than keeping it into the political identity realms. Now, they think that on this level, with these types of sets and the like, they say only less than 10% of their player base is annoyed by that.
Really, Wizards of the Coast, if you think 10% are just annoyed, then how come you're getting backlash? Because I don't think 10% is enough to warrant a backlash, because usually it's like, what, more than that?
By that, which is actually a pretty big one, but they are getting a lot of new people checking it out, and this has been something that's been done for years. These types of things with these brand crossovers, and Magic and Wizards of the Coast actually have done things with Dungeons and Dragons with a game called Dice Masters, and Dice Masters actually had Dungeons and Dragons sets, which is a very similar game to Magic. So it's kind of interesting that they're finally getting on board with this type of thing and actually trying to rake in the profits that way. But if they just keep virtue signaling, it's going to keep turning people off. It doesn't matter if somebody's got a cool brand they think is going to be now finally a part of Magic the Gathering. If they know that their money and time and all that's going to be going towards different LGBTQ things, people are just going to tune out and they don't want to deal with it anymore.
And it's happening everywhere in the world. Also in Ghost of Yotei, well, you want to know what the hype of that? Well, people say it's the best of the best and all that. Return to form, you know how it is. And according to what I've heard, everything was cricket. No, I'm not joking. The only hype that I've seen is from the developers from other companies. But for the shields, I don't see them. I don't see people praising it. And don't forget, IGN slams the game for being boring. No, I'm not joking. IGN says that the game Ghost of Yotei was boring. So how are you going to defend that? If I were a video game company or any creator for that matter, look, what I would do is simple. I ask my core audience feedback. I ask them, okay, is this a good idea? And if my core audience or my fans says, no, it's a bad idea, I listen. It's very simple. Wizards of the Coast should have listened to feedback to their core customers and not alienated them, and they will be successful, but yet they continue to do it. So the question is, what will it take for people like Wizards of the Coast or whoever, Sweet Baby Inc., to face the harsh reality? Doesn't matter what you say, this is the harsh reality. When it comes to money, they're gonna have to make a choice. Let go of these virtue signaling or lose more money.
Good to see you guys in one piece. That was some real nice soldier in there.
Thanks, Sarge.
Looks like you boys got the desert fox retreating with his tail between his legs. Time to head back to camp and get a hot meal.